Okay, welcome to the call. I can't tell. Is this getting recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, this is week 3, you guys. Thanks for being on the call. And what I want you guys to continue to submit different topics that you want to tackle on these calls. So since we want to keep it to a minimum of 30 minutes, we're going to jump right in. So what I was just saying a minute ago was we have got to go back to that feedback loop. We want to make a plan, and that means our hot hands list for every single week. We want to make sure we're actually following through and we're connecting with the 10 people on that hot hands list. Then we want to review it. So Sunday night, when you're getting on those planning calls, or Monday morning, if you're planning by yourself, review the prior week. How did you do? Why did you not reach the goals that you set? Or give yourself a bonus or congratulations if you did hit them, because we want to celebrate when we do hit it. And then say, what am I going to do different next week? You know, what is it that you're going to do different this week to ensure that you hit your plan and that you are moving forward? So, all right, critical, holding ourselves accountable. The T in ACTS is tracking. Okay, so we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about how to close a sale. And, you know, here's one thing I want to just challenge everybody. And if you guys will mute yourself. If you're not muted, mute yourself. I hear some rustling around. So anyway, many of you guys have heard me do this training before, and I have, and I will post the 7-minute videos that go along with each of these quadrants. But you know, this quadrant 4 is where we talk about closing the sale. And I love, and I think I saw Carrie Viviello on here. I love it. She calls it nailing the sale. You guys, if we go to all this trouble of attracting people, you know, going out there, building our hot hands, not our hot hands list, but our our memory jogger or our prospect list. And then we go about connecting with them, whether it text them, email them, call them, meet with them, invite them to an event. And then we start those conversations and we hear their story. We hear their needs. We utilize that tool from last week when it talks about, you know, those questions and statements. And we take it to that third point. But what I've seen happen so many times, people stop short right here. They walk through that quadrant 1, quadrant 2, so they captivate an audience, they connect with that audience, they even have great conversation. But when it comes to the actual sale, they don't nail the sale, as Carrie would say. They stop short. So tell me, someone unmute yourself and tell me why do we stop short? Come on, we don't have.
I think sometimes we stop short just because we don't ask.
Okay. And why do we, and you're exactly right. When it comes to nailing the sale or closing the sale, whatever you want to call it, nothing's going to happen until we ask them for the sale. Why do we stop short, and why do we not want to ask?
I think one thing that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, one thing that I think I've felt in the past is just like the asking for the sale sounds salesy.
Okay.
You know? And I've learned that's not true. It's professional.
All right.
Yep.
And I think one reason is, especially with new people, they haven't got a strong belief in the company and the product. And so they're ashamed that somebody thinks that they're selling, kind of like she said, somebody thinks they're selling something. That's why they back away. Because I've heard of new people actually getting to the point of people wanting to give them their credit card, and they said, well, let me send you another video. You know, I think that if you doesn't have a strong belief in a company and a strong belief in the product, if you have those two things, then I think you're going to be proud that you have something to offer them.
Ooh, I think that's a really good point, Linda. That comment that you said, feel ashamed, and it goes back, also ties into what you're talking about, Aaron, is that you're feeling ashamed because you feel like it's salesy. And when that is the case, you hit the nail on the head, Linda. It's our own belief. It's our own issue. It's not someone else's. It's not the person we're talking to, their issue. Because when you think about it, it takes what they say, and we're not just talking Juice Plus, we're talking anything. It takes between 1 and 10 exposures before someone buys. And so what happens is we may talk to them 1 or 2 times, and then that feeling of lack of confidence on our part, or probably which even goes a little deeper to what you're talking about, is that lack of belief in whether it be ourselves, in the product, or in just the industry as a whole. And so I think we need to kind of dig deep and say, what is it that's stopping me? Is it my own personal belief? Because if you've got a strong enough belief, I got to be honest, I never feel like I'm selling anything. And I don't worry. I don't usually get no's, but what do I get? You just get kind of the silent treatment. I get that all the time. I don't worry about it. But what I know is you've probably, as my husband would say, you've put a burr under their saddle, that they know they're not getting the nutrition they need. They know they need it. But for whatever reason, they're not quite ready to say yes. And so what happens is we interpret that as, oh my gosh, I've overstepped my bounds. Oh my goodness, I've sounded salesy. When in reality, it's just them working through this process. And if you always have it in your mind, I'm going to look and see if I've got something right here. I literally have one of these documents on every prospect I have. So I will not file this away into my inactive prospects until I've connected with them. Like this person, I've only connected with her once. She was a referral from another customer. I won't put that form away till I have connected with her 10 times, because I know that's normal. So if we're stopping short of going back to that process of actually asking the questions, then, it's our own issue. It's not their issue that, oh my gosh, I can't even give this stuff away. I used to laugh. I think it was Linda with, you know what? We all go through processes where we feel like we can't even give it away. And then some days I feel like it's flying off the shelf quicker than I can even keep up with. But most of that is all inside of our heads. So if we know we've gone out there, we've captured, and we're working on every week, that's why I'm having to submit those forms. Are we actually adding to that memory jogger every single week, new people? And then our hot hands list. Who are the people we're going to connect with? And then it gets into these conversations. Track your conversations with people. What have you said? So that's that quadrant 3. What have I said to them? And what more do I need to say to connect with them about? If we have successfully done quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, they're going to be ready for us to ask the question. What's holding you back? And I know you've all heard me talk about this story about a gal who, every time she was my hairdresser, not my current hairdresser, but this was years ago. Every time I'd sit in the seat, she would talk to me about Juice Plus. I'd say, are you ready to get started? And she would be like, not yet, or him haul around. And I remember I went in and I thought, I am not leaving this salon till this girl gets on Juice Plus. And so I kept using this line. Sometimes, are you ready to get started? That works like that. Yeah, people are ready to get started. But that wasn't, as Carrie would say, it wasn't nailing the sale for this girl. But I knew she wanted it. So that last time is, I just said to her, let me see, is it on here? That second one. I said, Amanda, what's holding you back from getting started on Juice Plus? Now, let me ask this question. Who feels like when someone says, you know, Sandy, what's holding you back from getting started on Juice Plus? Does that sound like a sales pitch? No. I mean, is there anybody on here that feels like that sounds like a sales pitch? Because it wasn't. I really seriously wanted to know, you know, what was it that was holding her back? And you know what she said? She said to me, she goes, honestly, she said, Elaine, you don't know this about me, but I smoke. And she said, I feel like such a hypocrite taking Juice Plus knowing I'm smoking. That was what was holding her back. Now, what I could have said was, oh my gosh, I sound like a salesperson. Oh my gosh, I'm no good at this. What didn't have anything to do with me. And I guarantee you, I probably had talked to her 7, 8, 9 times. And so what it was we got down to what really mattered. And I said, Amanda, the one thing is we actually have research on smokers, and that your benefit from taking Juice Plus goes up just as much as someone who doesn't smoke. Now, granted, if you're not smoking, you're going to end up here, but the increase in health or the benefits are the same, whether you smoke or not. So why would you let that hold you back? And quite frankly, I've had customers tell me once they got on Juice Plus, it helped them quit smoking. And so we had this conversation. I said, Juice Plus is a catalyst. It's not a requirement to help. And I'm telling you what, how many people think I got the sale that day? I did. And you know why? It was because I cared enough to ask the questions. You know, we hear about Brene, a lot of you've gone through the Brave Leaders program. And you hear a lot about having those crucial conversations, those difficult. What happens is, here's what I want you, and say it out loud, right where you are. I want everyone to say, when I feel like running away, I'm leaning into that person. I mean, literally say that. When I feel like running away, I'm leaning into that person, and I'm going to ask the hard questions. You guys, everyone on this call, we know it's not about making the sale from a selfish standpoint. It's not. And that's what I say I love about Juice Plus. Making a lot of money in Juice Plus, it's a slow build. Anybody who is in this just for the money, they're not going to last. The people on this call and the people who lean in and ask those questions, those hard questions, are the people who care about people. And I know everyone on this call, I'm looking at all of you. I know you care about people. You want to invest your life into this conversation and into, I'm sorry, I've got someone at my front door. I'm sorry. I think it may be something I have to sign for. But anyway, while I'm doing this, I want someone, either Linda, Brenda, someone take over here, and let's keep talking about this closing the sale and how we're feeling. Someone else tell me how you're feeling. When like, what's holding you back from asking?
You just muted out.
For me, sorry, Brenda.
Go ahead.
So for me, I guess what holds me back the most is ruining a friendship. You know, that they think I'm pushing too much, even though that's not what I'm trying to portray, you know?
Yeah. Why do you think? Why do you think it would ruin a friendship?
I guess I just had a few awkward moments where it's like, if they would just tell me, no, I'm not interested right now, we wouldn't even talk about it. Like, you know, if they wanted to know how my business was going, fine, I'd talk about it, but I would leave that alone. But instead, people just stop talking and so stray away.
So just what Elaine was saying. So do you care enough about the relationship to have that hard conversation and say, okay, maybe it's totally just me. I want you to hear my heart. I've talked to you about Juice Plus because I truly believe everybody in the world needs to be taking it, and I care about your health. But you are more important to me. This is not about a sale. You are way more important to me. And I mean, nobody's going to be offended by that. Do you think?
I
If
would
you
hope
have
not.
somebody like that, yeah,
I would hope not.
I mean, I think that what's going to come across is, I love that whole, I thought of you because,
Mhm.
starting with that. And then just saying, this, maybe it's my issue. I just want to make sure, what I tell people a lot is I keep short accounts. If there's something between us in any way, I want to clear it up.
Right.
Because you are way too important to me for that. Because
Sure.
it's really completely, they're like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine.
Right.
That kind of thing. And then,
Okay.
go ahead.
I think it's exactly what I'm saying is, like you said, lean into that feeling you're having. If you're having that feeling, whether they're having it or not, it's coming across that there's something there. When you don't address it, people's mind starts to just go wonder. So then they are going to go in a direction that they weren't even going in until they felt something weird from you. And so a lot of times I'll say, can I shoot straight with you? Yeah. And just say, listen, I love you. I'm passionate about Juice Plus, but I want to be sensitive to our friendship. And if this is annoying you, me talking about it, please just tell me. Yeah. Otherwise, this is who I am and I'm excited about it, but I want to be sensitive. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what you're doing is breaking down the barriers. Mm-hmm. And if there was any issue, you've just busted it, because what they realize is, oh my gosh. And I had a really tough conversation with one of my good friend's husband, who really dug into me about not wanting to talk about Juice Plus because his wife wanted it and she wanted to be a distributor and he didn't want her doing it. And I'm not going to say it was an easy conversation, but it took care of it. And she became a customer, not a distributor. And she's been a customer for 15 years now. Mm-hmm. So just once again, when it comes to closing the sale, nailing the sale, I think 9 times out of 10, it is our own fault.
Absolutely. And
if it's them just not wanting it, what you do is let me give you permission. I want to see you get started today, but feel the freedom to tell me no. If you don't want it, just tell me no. Well, I'm telling you what, does that not just, okay, then I guarantee you they're going to say, yes, I want it, or no, I don't, but here's why. And if you know why, then you can unravel it and solve it. Mm-hmm. So,
and you've really strengthened the relationship.
Yes.
Through it all, because you only do that because you care. And I think from what I know of most everybody on this call is that I think pretty much we're all believers. And again, it's the enemy would love to tear up every relationship you have. And so it's, going before the Lord too, and just saying, what's the truth here? And I care about you enough.
Well, and I just made me think of another thing, Brenda, as you were talking. Think about when you have a knockdown drag out with your spouse. Mm-hmm. It's not always fun to go through, and maybe not even a knockdown, but a serious, disagreement. Mm-hmm. If you leave it alone, it festers. But if you sit down and you process it and talk about it, what happens? You come out the other side even better. Mm-hmm. The relationship's deeper. You understand each other. You may not even agree at that point, which is kind of what I'm saying. You may not necessarily get that customer, but you've got yourself in a really good place. And when they are ready, they will come to you because the relationship is there. Mm-hmm. So that being said, does that help when you think about closing the sale, that it really is our fault? You want to know, no, they're not a customer, but here is why. I know why. I know what it's going to take for them to get there. Or yes, they're started. So tell me, when you're thinking about those people on your hot hands list, you want to know where they are or get them started. Mm-hmm. Does that help with being able to close the sale? Be honest.
And Elaine, I think that you have to learn whether you got to read books or it comes natural to be able to read the person you're talking to. Yeah. Because some people are procrastinators, and they procrastinate not just about getting on Juice Plus, but they procrastinate about everything. And those people are the ones that need gentle persuasion. You're making a good decision. They have to hear. They have to hear that.
Cute.
But then others, they get annoyed if you talk about it too much. So sometimes, if they say my kids are sick again, then, that's the time to put a little plug in. But you don't always have to talk about Juice Plus, because some people are a long sale in coming, and you've got to be able to read them to figure out, are they having a good day or a bad day, or what you can do to help them. Mm-hmm. Some people are visual people. You send them YouTube, and some people want to read about it. So you gotta know the person you're talking to. And if you don't, good way to learn about them is to get on Facebook and see what they're always talking about, what they're doing, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think you hit on another great point, Linda, and that's learning to read people. And I'm telling you, if you invest in this business and really dig in, every opportunity to learn, you're going to get good at reading people. That is so true. And then it really helps a lot of times, we're developing this tool with all the questions, but so many of them, those questions are going to be very specific to that person. And only you are going to know the question to ask. So the key is getting comfortable with asking those questions. Now we can have a ton of them, on this tool, but back to what Linda's saying is really learning to read people. And then, like I'm thinking about one of my favorites is one of my husband's hunting buddies. It took me 7 years to get him on, he and his family on Juice Plus. And I remember finally when he called me and said, okay, I'm ready. We had talked about Juice Plus till the cows came home. And I'm like, now he was someone I could be funny with. So I'm like, my gosh, you get the award for taking the longest to decide to get on Juice Plus. And we laughed about it. He's been a customer for 10 years now. So, with him, I would literally just be frank. I'd be like, Bobby, you ready to get started? No, not yet. I'm like, well, quit calling me then. And we laughed. But, some people, it's going to be funny. You can cut up with them. Some you can be just straight up, shoot straight with them. Some you have to be gentle and patient. I mean, it's a dance, figure out what their dance is. My husband, I got to always quote him. He goes, what you don't want to be happen is if you show up to the ballroom and they're doing the waltz and you're doing the tango. It just doesn't work. You got to figure out what the dance is and you conform to the dance. And you get in groove with them. So is it time? Sometimes we get in a hurry to close the sale before it's time. And then that's an awkward feeling. When you get ready to ask that, they're ready. They're ready. Are you ready for me? Go ahead and put your order in. Give me your credit card. A lot of times that's all I say. Give me your credit card. I'll go ahead and get it ordered for you. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I know I'm in quadrant 4. I know I've moved through quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. I know we've had enough conversations. I've got the body language and the feel. All it takes is give me your credit card. I'll go ahead and get you started. Mm-hmm. And if I've taken them through that process and I don't ask that question, it's my fault. I'm the one stopping the sale, not them. But we got to make sure we've worked through that process. And like Linda says, use your EQ, be perceptive.
And speaking of that, just yesterday on the Eric Worre podcast, he has this interview with Daniel Goleman, who was the one who wrote in 1995 Your Emotional Intelligence. Mm-hmm. And it specifically, they just talked about it so much about all the different the ways that this book or this podcast could help you. And it was really powerful. And I thought, wow, that is, because he talks about it very explicitly about, and his wife even wrote a book about the 12 skills of emotional intelligence. And I think, probably all of us need that to some extent.
All right, so be on the lookout in that Voxer chat for the homework. And you guys, I'm going to keep pushing you guys, especially to report your, hand in your form and do this homework. Put in the work. Let's not just show up to the call, but let's really invest in becoming professionals. I love how Eric Worre talks about being professional. Let's be the absolute best professional we can be. And okay. So thinking back to the tool, Linda gave me a bunch of really good statements and questions to ask about from our tool. So I left in the Voxer, we're still missing a few. So think about the conversations, what questions you have. Think about the statements that you make. And you guys, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry I'm having so many interruptions here. But anyway, let's really dig in, you guys, and let's grow and let's learn. Let me ask you, how many of you guys utilized the questions, some of those questions off the sheets last week? All right, we got a few. All right, so here, so if we're talking about closing the sale, go look at those questions. There's some really good ones on there. And get them in your head so that they roll around in your head. And what happens is when you're talking instantly, they're going to pop out and you'll be like, wow, that sounded good. Where'd that come from? And it's because you've invested in yourself. You've invested in this business. And you've invested in this program that we're doing. And so let's think about, too, the people on your teams who need to be on this call. Because, and Shelly, I don't know if she's still on here. Yeah, I see it. Okay. So Shelly, you really, let me just tell you, encouraged my heart this morning, because she just made the comment. She said, I'm loving these calls, and she submits her form. And, and she said, I did better than last week. And she had quite a week the week before last. But you know what I'm seeing is, and it was encouraging because it's such a reminder that when we go through that feedback loop, we make a plan, we do the plan, we review the plan, and we make adjustments. When we do that, what we're doing is we're training ourselves to be focused on this business. And I'm telling you what, you guys, it's that focus day in and day out with this business is what is going to move it forward. What happens is we think about Juice Plus, but if we're not tracking it, we're not focusing on it every day, we're not making a plan, doing a plan, reviewing the plan, and adjusting the plan, I'm telling you, we are scratching the surface from an investment standpoint. We're expecting to make, 5-6 figure incomes when we're barely even investing any time in this business. And when we track it, what it does is it opens our eyes. It opens my eyes. What have I done? Where did I go wrong? What can I do better? And so one last just push, do this homework, fill out that form, and you guys, let's become incredible professionals when it comes to being a Juice Plus distributor. And I know y'all's hearts, and I know how good you guys are. I think so much of it is our investment of time. So thanks for being on the call, you guys. I'm loving seeing y'all's faces on these Monday calls. Let me hear from you what you want to hear more of, and let's keep growing together. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for your input. And I see a bunch of text messages, so I will make notes of it and make sure we address whatever's in the notes section.
Awesome. Thanks, Elaine.
Okay. Post the form.
Here, I got a little something to show you, Elaine, real quick.
Okay. Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Oh,
This is Sandy's new grandbaby.
oh my gosh, how are you even focused on anything else?
Oh, my gosh. We'll give you a
Wow.
pass if your grades weren't as good this week.
Look how alert he is. Oh,
It's a she. It's a
It's
she.
she.
oh,
But
she. Sorry.
yeah, we were just talking about that because she's just now focusing like on Jessica and stuff. So Yeah, she's looking
I'm
all
pretty sure
bright.
she's
You can
focused